So, so we talk about the survey data. Now we talk about institutional investors. So what do I mean by institutional investors? Think about it. So in a 10K, 8K, and everything, this is about the firm. This is about the investors, the target of the investors, right? So investors analyze the 10K, analyze 8K to understand better about the firm. So that's from the investors' perspective to analyze the target firms. So institutional investors, what does that mean? That means hedge fund, the mutual fund, they have their own analysis about the firms. So instead of doing analysis about the firms themselves, you can see what exactly hedge funds, mutual funds, their understanding of these firms. So in other words, let's say Joe, I want to invest in Google. One way is to analyze Google's information, and I can get Google. Another thing is maybe Joe has already processed sophisticated information about Joe and about Google. And why don't we just get the disclosure? Why don't you just get the disclosure from the Joe and analyze what Joe's understanding of the Google instead of understanding Google themselves. So that's the idea. That's the idea of understanding institutional investor. Hopefully that makes sense. So basically, so we have two ways to understanding Google. The first way is to understand Google, understand their 8K, 10K, everything, findings to understand the Google. That's one way. That's one way we That's one way we can analyze that, understand Google's 8K, 10K, and everything. That's the first thing we do. The second thing we can do is, because Joe has spent so much time, Joe is a sophisticated hedge funds. He has his own understanding about the hedge fund. Why don't we understand Joe's understanding of the Google in order to understanding Google? So this is what is about institutional investor information analytics. This is about information analytics. So what we can get from the Joe, from hedge funds, about mostly three things. One is risk. What's the risk about Google? The risk of the Google or risk of the portfolio choice. And also, what stock Joe choose? Did Joe choose Google or Apple or Microsoft? So about this kind of stuff, like what did Joe talk about? Like what kind of a portfolio choice? What kind of portfolio choice Joe made? And also market. So what's Joe's expectation about the market? It's about future is going up, going down, and so basically by analyzing hedge funds, understanding of the portfolio and the market, what we can get information is it's about the hedge funds perception of the risk of the market, the risk of about Google, and also hedge funds portfolio choice. Do hedge funds want to invest in Google or Apple or Facebook? Why they make that choice? That's the information we can get. Also, what information we get is the market. How is the hedge funds? How is the hedge funds project the future market going down, going up, and this is so basically by understanding hedge funds, the information, you can indirectly understand the market and the Google. You can see the Google's risk. You can see why choose Google. You can see the market future of the capital market. That's the three things you can actually get from the understanding the hedge funds, understand that disclosure. Here we're talking about the mutual funds. Let's talk about some examples there. So yeah, this is of the uh the big, at the big picture level, yeah, at the big picture level, um you can get the information about about hedge funds understanding of the risk, and the hedge funds portfolio choice, and hedge funds market forward looking about market expectation. So let's look at some examples. Let's look at some examples about this. So so this is the we are here, we are not doing the hedge funds, we're doing mutual fund. Hedge funds, they have own disclosure, but mutual funds disclose more. The reason is because hedge funds is only involve a small number of investors, fund investors. So hedge funds, they are not required to disclose information. They're kind of free to do what they want. But mutual fund involves a large group of public fund investors. So there's a huge, there's a very strict disclosure regulation for mutual funds. So mutual funds have to disclose many things. For example, they have to disclose their fund performance. In the fund performance, they have to disclose, like I said, the risk they are concerned. They disclose about the portfolio choice. They disclose about the future market expectation. So all this information you can find the management discussion of mutual fund performance. And they have to disclose the assets, liability. They disclose the operations. They disclose the change in net assets, financial highlights, statements, and also their license, their trustees, their liquidity risk. So can they pay? Do they have enough cash? Like also fund expense. You know, when you invest in a mutual fund, they have to charge you. So they kind of disclose how much they charge fund investors. They also have to any information to shareholders and any information, other informations. So here again, what we want to say is so what I want to say is the hedge funds, you know, hedge funds are only up to 500 fund investors. So for example, if you want to start hedge funds, you can only get max 500 people to invest in you. That's hedge funds. It's limited to a small number of group people. But for mutual funds, you guys invest in mutual funds, everybody can chip in. Everybody can buy the mutual funds, can be a fund investor in mutual funds. So you can see that the rule here is, if the hedge funds only involves a small number of fund investors, they don't need to disclose. They can do whatever they want. It may cause trouble, but just in terms of disclosure regulation, it's just the way it is. They have to, they can hide a lot of stuff. But for mutual funds, because everybody can enclose each mutual funds, if mutual funds goes down, a lot of people will go down. So there's a huge regulation on mutual funds. Mutual funds has disclosed more information. That's why you can see that the shareholder letter, they discuss a lot of information there. Shareholder letter, you can see later example. Management discussion is what I was talking about. You can find the risk, you can find the portfolio choice, you can find a market expectation on the management discussion of performance. So number one, you have to pass them out, right? So you guys are passing out AK item 1.01. Here you have to pass out the management discussion on fund performance. And you can find other information as well. You can find interest rate, assets, liability, operation. It's like an annual report, right? Like a financial highlights of statements, license, liquidity, do they have enough cash, and fund expense. This is unique for funds because when you invest in mutual funds, they have to charge you for management fee, right? They cannot work for you for free. You invest in funds, they have to charge you for some fees for managing the funds. So this is about analyze this data. So you can see the examples here. So this is from the version management discussion and fund performance. Can you guys see my mouse? See my mouse? Okay. So in a management discussion and performance, you can see the portfolio construction. They can give you an idea why they construct the portfolio in this way, why not in another way. So so this is one way we just talking about, and the portfolio choice. And also we have a general risk. The general risk is what kind of risk they have. So you see what they list the investment risk. They list the investment risk. They also list other risk as well. So this is the example. This is example from the institutional investors findings. From the institutional investor findings, you can see what kind of portfolio they choose and why they choose. You can find the reason. And also you can find the risk they are trying to identify. They're saying, oh, they have an investment risk, they have market risk, they have a kind of risk, and also there's more stuff like, can you tell us about investment philosophy and how it drives the composition of ETF you name? So they also talk about the investment philosophy in the when they discuss the firm performance. And also what drives change in the composition of the fund. So this belongs to the portfolio construction, right? The portfolio construction. Basically, they tell you how do they choose stock, how do they select stock. They tell you their investment strategies, and also risk. You can see they also talk about the market risk. They talk about a lot of stuff there. So this is about this data set. It's about data set. So to summarize, so what's the difference between the institutional investors analytics different from the previous one? There's two difference. The first difference is 10K, 8K is about the firm information themselves. That's a direct approach of analyze the firm. But by analyzing the institutional investors, by analyzing the hedge funds, you can indirectly understand how hedge funds understanding Google. That's first thing I want to say. Yeah. The second thing is how did you get the information? You can get the risk. You can get hedge funds understanding of the Google risk or market risk. So risk you can get, and also what you can get the portfolio choice. You can get the portfolio choice. How did the hedge funds invest in one firm, not the other firm? The portfolio choice is also important information you can get, and also market. And the market, the hedge funds, mutual funds also have some future market conjectures. That's what you can get from data. So you guys can see more examples, can see the structure. It's like an annual report for fund, but the difference is they have to talk about their strategies, like risk, market, and portfolio choice. And the liability assets is very similar to fund annual report, right? They also talk about fund expense. So this is the difference between the institutional investor, mutual fund findings, and the firm findings. And then you can also see the examples, how they discuss risk, how they discuss portfolio, they discuss their investment strategies, and also they discuss about other risks. You can see a lot of detailed discussion here. So this is about analytics of institutional investors.